my gosh, James Bond is ruined. There is no more James Bond movies. Hitler has actually taken over Warner Brothers Metro Golden Studio with the Lion, and now everyone is going to die. Welcome to the podcast with a very special James Bond episode where we talk about a lot of stuff, and we might even talk about James Bond.
Let's talk about something else first that we probably care a little bit more about at the moment, or maybe not. I don't know. So, in the news recently, this past week, Tim Willits of id Software is going to be leaving after being there for 24 years at the conclusion of QuakeCon. So what do we have to say about that, Robbie?
Well, I just think that the guy's old, and he's one of the last people that's from the original Doom team. Like, he helped with Doom and Quake and stuff. So, it's kind of sad to see someone leave, because all those game developers are kind of like legends. But you know what I mean, like, it's his time to retire. Not everybody has the privilege of retiring, so, like, let him go.
Yeah. I don't know if he's fully retiring. He's making... It sounds kind of ambiguous what he's going to be doing afterwards, but I don't know. It's like he's only like 47.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty young to retire.
So I'd say he's probably just going to find something maybe, I don't know, a little less intensive, maybe something outside of the industry.
Yeah.
Because, for the most part, since like Doom 3 came out, he's mainly just been like a studio director or like a creative director.
Mm-hmm.
But I can imagine he'd probably maybe want to try to find something like that still.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. Something on that level, but like maybe in the background a bit more.
Mm-hmm. Something just a little less hard, something easier.
Yeah.
You said, how many people from the original like Doom id teams are still working there?
Okay, so according to PC Gamer, the only two that are left are Kevin Cloud, who has been there since 1992, and Donna Jackson, who I don't really know what her role is. They describe her as the id mom / office manager. Oh, I guess office manager, who joined in like 94.
Okay, so she probably wasn't doing any of the actual game developing. More like the stuff in the background, making sure the business stayed on top, or...
Maybe something like that. You never know. You stay around something long enough, you might learn a thing or two. Yeah. It's like I tried to find like a Wikipedia article on her or anything like that, but I couldn't come up with anything.
Yeah.
I think there was a Doom Wiki one. It's like, I'm just being around the office. She became a game tester or something for them. It's like, okay.
That's cool.
Better than just being an office manager, I guess. So yeah, so
congratulations for him for his 24 years of hard work. Maybe he wasn't working hard. I've never been to id. I've never met any employees. But if he helped make Doom happen, well then, he gets a thumbs up in my book.
He actually joined the team with Ultimate Doom. He was he was the level designer for the 4th episode. But he did...
Oh, cool.
He worked on Quake. Of course.
Yeah. Which is another favorite of ours.
Yep. Newfound favorite.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So, the main thing we're going to discuss this video is Bond 25, a movie that has stirred up a lot of controversy this week when they announced that there would be a new person in the role of 007. I have to go look up what her name is now. This is embarrassing.
Lashana Lynch.
Yeah, Lashana Lynch, made famous this March from Captain Marvel. She will be the new 007. And people are losing their minds. Some people are losing their minds because I think that's cool. But I would say the majority of people are losing their minds because they're afraid that James Bond has become a little too woke.
Yep.
Now, first off, before we really get into that, I just want to talk about some of the history with this movie. Because this movie has been through a lot of controversy, and they've had so many issues just leading up to this. First off, this is a movie that really does not need to exist. While filming Spectre, I think that Daniel Craig said that he would rather like chop off his foot than play as 007 again, just because he's done and tired with the role. And for those of you that were around in 2015, you might remember that was like marketed as the end of the Daniel Craig series, that was supposed to be the last one, and it has a pretty solid ending where, you know, he gets married and retires and leaves, and it's a happy ending. So just the fact that they're trying to make another Daniel Craig James Bond just seems a little off when the story has already been complete. Do you want to get into the writers, Connor?
Yeah, so just going through Wikipedia just to kind of familiarize myself with what's going on with this. They've had several different people work on the screenplay for this. Like, I don't know if there's like an original draft and they have just all been like throwing their own ideas on it, or if they've just been like remaking their own from scratch.
I believe this movie was meant to come out this November, and they had to push it back because of some of these, but go on about the different writers.
Okay, so one of the first ones they brought in was... What on earth? Okay.
So on IMDb, they have a lot of people listed. Anyways, go on.
Okay, so the original people that were set to write the script were Neil Purvis and Robert Wade. And then after, what's his name? Something Boyle, the director, or the guy that was originally going to be the director, departed. They brought in Paul Haggis, who was the screenwriter for Casino Royale, or a screenwriter. And then they brought him in in November of 2018. Brought in another guy named Scott Z. Burns in February of 2019. And then in April of 2019, apparently at the request of Daniel Craig, they brought in Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
If you don't know, she played as the social justice robot from Solo.
Huh. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she was the last one brought in. So that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people.
And what is it? According to IMDb, Kari Joji Fukunaga, who is the director currently, apparently it says that here that he had some stuff written in as well. So,
Am I?
This is going to be a hodgepodge of stuff. And they've had 2 directors too, haven't they?
Yeah, the original was going to be Boyle.
It was a Boyle, wasn't it?
Yeah, Boyle.
And now it's going to be Fukunaga, who I think that he did the writing for the 2017 It movie. So,
okay.
Again, writing is very different than directing, though. So, it's had a rough history. And another, issue this one has is just that there's like a lot of movie franchises that are going through a rough stage right now, because it seems like Marvel is taking all of the blockbuster stuff. Like this summer, we've had so many like flops, just because everybody's been seeing Endgame, which I guess here's some news. Like today, they just surpassed Avatar, so it is the highest grossing movie of all time now.
So suck it, Avatar.
So like they've also been like trying, from what I've heard, they've been trying to make sure that when they release it, it's not near a Marvel movie, because they think that if they release it, then it won't make any money.
Yeah, it's just like trying to release a game near like a Call of Duty release date. Well, back in the day, near Call of Duty release date, yeah. Or like, I guess, Doom Eternal this year.
So shooting has happened. I think the only major issue they've had with shooting is that James Bond, Daniel Craig, he messed up his ankle at one point and had to have minor surgery. But he is back in the lead role, and looks like there's going to be some numerous shooting locations, mainly Jamaica, which is kind of a throwback to like Dr. No and a lot of those older James Bond movies.
Yeah.
But it also looks like they're going to be in Italy, obviously London, and I think Norway as well. One of those European countries. And then for the cast, You got your normals back. You've got your Daniel Craig. You've got that Ralph Fiennes or whatever his name is.
Fiennes.
You got, yeah. Naomi, what's her name? Naomi Harris. She's back as M. Oh, Moneypenny, I mean. The guy who plays as M, he's back. James Bond's wife, whose name I don't even remember at this point, she's back. And supposedly there's a lot of rumors that Christoph Waltz will be back as Blofeld. But other than that, Rami Malek will be the villain, unless Christoph Waltz does come back. And then Ana de Armas, who is from Blade Runner 2049, she will be in it. And of course, the biggest news is that Lashana Lynch. Sorry, I keep messing these people's names up. It's because I'm using IMDb and it's on my phone, and like half the names are cut off because I'm not holding it sideways. She will be playing as the new 007 for a new generation.
Character called Nomi.
So, first off, does this upset you at all, Connor, that the 007 title has been given to a new character? Drum roll, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those things where, like, the lore of the series makes it sound like they don't just hand out the 00 status, like, willy-nilly. And they're introducing this new character who we know absolutely nothing about. And just saying, oh, you're the new 007, the only one anybody gives a shit about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can for sure see that. I'm not as upset about that just because, I mean, I guess you're right, though. I mean, it wouldn't make sense. Like, I mean, it's like with Jackie Robinson, like, nobody on the New York Yankees can have 42 as their number anymore because he was so great and stuff. And, like, Daniel Craig has done so much for Queen and Country that you would think that they wouldn't just hand that out to anyone, especially a character we've never heard of.
Oh, no, no, I was just meaning within, like, the context of, like, the James Bond franchise.
Yeah.
Like, the universe itself. Like,
and a lot of people are making comments about how what they think this movie is going to be that she's the new 007, but she needs Daniel Craig to show her the ropes so that she can take over the franchise, and we'll just have a bunch of movies starring her. First off, I do not think that will happen at all, just because I don't think people are interested in seeing that. The James Bond movies as a whole right now, I mean, they're still popular, people still like them, but they're nothing compared to a lot of, like, the Marvel movies and stuff. And a lot of studios are finding it harder and harder to compete with the Marvel movies and stuff. And if you're going to release, a James Bond movie that has so much with it different, I think that less people will be interested to see it, because when people go to see a Bond film, there's a lot of things they expect to see, Daniel Craig being one of them, or at least someone else playing the role of 007. If you give that to a woman, I don't know if audiences will be as interested in that, especially if they don't make her interesting in the movie.
Yeah.
That being said, I wouldn't be surprised either if she turns out to be like a villain or something, and that she was secretly evil. And you could see that 007, like the old versus the new. That being said, if they did do that, it'd be a weird choice to choose a black woman, I personally, this is just kind of like what I think they should do with the franchise at this point is, as much as I love the Daniel Craig James Bonds, like, obviously I think that's the best in the series, but I think it is time to find a new James Bond, just because, I mean, Daniel Craig's he's like 52 at this point. And they've already done, like, you can't really do anything else with the Daniel Craig James Bond mythos, I mean, what else is there to do? I mean, this is going to be the second time he's come out of retirement. So, assuming that Blofeld does return and his wife gets offed in the very beginning of the movie, because that's, which movie was that? That was, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which, that was how that movie ended, spoilers. Which, at the end of Spectre, it looked like they were going to do that. But here's the thing, if you do that, Daniel Craig has already been through that. Like, he lost Vesper in Casino Royale. So if you're gonna pull that like his wife gets killed and that's why he goes on revenge, well, that doesn't work because that was already done in the story. And the movies have been going on since 2006, and that's a long time to do a franchise. And I didn't hate Spectre. I thought it was fine. That being said, I didn't think it was close to Casino or Quantum or even Skyfall in quality. And I mean, because of that, I'm just not as excited for this James Bond movie, which is like totally weird to hear that coming out of my mouth. But what I would personally like to see is see them do a reboot and to set it in like the 50s or 60s again. Just like have it be like a retro throwback, kind of like the Sean Connery ones. And then try to make it more fun and stuff. I mean, that's kind of the cycle with the Bond movies, is that you have the original Sean Connery ones where it's very serious, and as they went on, they kind of got more goofy and fun. And then they kind of had they go on like different cycles from being like dark and gritty to fun and fantastic. And I think that the Daniel Craig movies have done a lot of dark and gritty stuff, and I think that more audiences would be interested in something more fun and fantastic. Like, set it in the 60s and have them have like a boat car and stuff like that. How do you feel about that, Connor? Do you agree with me?
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea. This is somewhat related-ish, I want to say. It's like, the Pink Panther series?
Yeah.
I was thinking one of the ways that they could like really like revitalize that, if they ever wanted to reboot it again, was to just...
I'm sure they will.
Well, yeah. Just make it set in the 60s again.
Mm-hmm. Just because, I mean, that was an interesting time period. And it'd be fun to revisit that weird, fun area. I mean, kind of like The Incredibles. I don't know if you saw Incredibles 2.
Oh, yeah, I finally saw that.
But, like, the boat and stuff, like, it was very fantastical and reminded me a lot of the old James Bond movies.
Yeah.
And it'd be kind of fun to go back to that era.
It's like the things that are high-tech then, are, like, sci-fi-ish. Is that what you're kind of saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get somebody young as well, because I'm tired of seeing an old James Bond.
Yeah.
I think whatever the next Bond is going to have, though, is going to have the issue of trying to top Casino and stuff. Because that one is regarded as like the best. But I don't know, maybe this new one will stoop Bond so low that he won't. It'll be easy to top Craig. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe, who knows, the movie could be really good as well. Obviously, that would be for best. I just think it's funny because, I mean, when I was a kid, when Daniel Craig was casted, everyone was freaking out because he doesn't look like James Bond. He has, like, the blonde hair and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, now you've got Lyanna Lynch or whatever it was. Everyone's really freaking out because she's even farther to classic James Bond. And what I've seen a lot of people on the internet saying is that, like, oh, well, it's because people think that, the James Bond archetype, which is, a big muscular guy who gets all the women and stuff, isn't acceptable in today's society. And to be honest, I mean, I agree a little bit with that. If you watch some of the older, like, Sean Connery Bond movies, it's kind of weird the way he gets all the girls. Like, it's almost like rape in a couple sequences.
No, James.
Yes.
No, James.
Yes, you are going to have sex with me.
No, James, I don't want to.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Okay, yes.
See that? 50 no's and a yes means yes.
So, I mean, obviously I don't want them to do stuff like that, but that is kind of what the Bond franchise is built upon. And whether it's acceptable or not, I mean, I don't know. You see where I'm coming from, Connor, though? Like,
yeah.
You should go with the times, but, like, don't make it creepy.
Yeah. And there are plenty of ways of still doing that. It's like,
yeah, I mean, take a look at Casino Royale, a perfect James Bond movie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, James Bond still sleeps with women in that. But the first one that he does is kind of portrayed as being a dumb, not a very smart person. And the idea of the first sequence is to show, like, the first girl he sleeps with is kind of to show that James Bond is kind of just like this emotionless being. Like, he just has no connection to love or anything like that. And that was a smart way to do Daniel Craig. Like, the reason why he's sleeping with women is just because he's just that messed up in the head. And then you have Vesper, who actually is a strong female character. And, you know, when they fall in love, it seems like they're actually, like, in a relationship and they care about each other. So, I mean, there's still ways you can have females not be stereotyped or portrayed poorly in Bond films and still have them sleep with 007, because it's what happened. People sleep with each other.
All right.
So I think that's pretty much everything.
Yeah, there is one last thing I want to say about that.
Okay.
With regards to the cast. So, one last person that's coming back.
Felix is back.
Yep, Jeffrey Wright is Felix Leiter.
Oh, that is making me so happy. Okay, that's the real reason I'm excited for this movie, is because I dig that character. This will be the first time he shows up 3 times in one series, I believe.
Yeah, and he hasn't made an appearance since Quantum.
Yeah, which I still hold as one of the best Bond films.
So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. So the movie is set to be released on April 8th of next year.
Oh, that is weird. Because the Bond films are usually released in November, aren't they?
I don't know.
Okay. The last 2 at least were. I know that.
Okay.
I think Quantum was too. I'm not sure. That's interesting that it's being released that early in the year.
Yeah, I remember Spectre being released in the summer, but that might have just been when the previews were out. Or the trailers were out. Yeah, so I don't really know if I'm going to see this in theaters. I might just kind of play it by ear. If I hear good things from people who I know who see the movie.
I don't know. If I'm in town, which I probably will be, I might force you to come see it with me.
Okay, well, if, you know, it's getting a lot of praise from, like, the media, I'll probably not want to see it as much, because I don't trust them on anything anymore.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, Spectre got torn apart by critics and stuff. It was very disliked.
Yeah.
And I understand why it's far from a great movie, but as, like, a longtime Bond film, like, Bond movie fan, I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you got to keep in mind, like, the other movies in this franchise, like, the Roger Moore days, they were rough times. That being said, they were still fun to watch.
Yeah. You don't always have to have your brain on when you watch a movie.
No, you don't. And that's the nice thing about the Bond franchise. They got so much variety and stuff.
Okay.
So there you go. So there's a comment that we need to respond to.
Oh, there is?
Yep.
On what?
On the last podcast.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah, I know this one.
Yeah. So the person who we don't really like to talk about, he says, Killer Clowns from Outer Space is free to watch on YouTube. Y'all should cover that one. Personally, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
How do you feel how much do you know about that movie, Connor?
I just know that it exists.
Oh, okay.
And that
It's a movie that's been, like, on my list to watch for a long time. So, like, I'd be fine to watch it. I can't say that we'll do it next week, because I think next week we're going to be covering Comic-Con, because we're going to have a ton of news next week.
Next week's podcast is going to be like an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
No, we're going to have Comic-Con and QuakeCon probably.
Oh, jeez, holy cow.
Yeah, it's a wombo combo, so yeah, hour and a half.
So, yeah, it might be another 2 weeks for that. But we will get it done. And it'll be good.
Either that or we just make a video on it.
Yeah, one of the two. It'll be fun though. If you guys have any other recommendations for videos to do, just let us know, and we will do it, because we're open to ideas.
Yep, we just won't do it next week.
Yeah.
All right.
Catch you around. See you next time.
Bye.
And finish.